hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to give you guys all the action inside and outside of the ring in terms of professional wrestling. Also, we dive about, some rumors, backstage rumors. We also talk about, just drama behind what's happening backstage behind that curtain. We talk about it here on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. We also, from AEW, the WWE. We even talk about some of the past, like WCW, maybe even ECW, New Japan Professional Wrestling, and just basically if it makes professional wrestling headlines, we talk about it here on this show. So 1,010% happy to see you all back here. First and foremost, how was your guys this weekend? Obviously, hit me up in the chat. Tell me how it was. Anything juicy to talk about in terms of professional wrestling? Let me know what you guys thought about AEW All In. It got an 8.5 stars out of 10. To be honest, I watched highlights. I was gonna watch it. I did watch it. I watched highlights, but I, I don't know why I forgot it was like in Wembley Stadium, and it was like on the freak. It was Pacific time. It was like 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. I was getting my kids breakfast. Making breakfast for her wife. Then we went to this indoor trampoline park called Airtopia. Shout out to Airtopia in Hamlet, California. And I don't know why. And then it got to like around 3 p.m. and I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to watch this. Oh, I click on YouTube, obviously, got my wallet ready. I was ready to pay, and it's not there. It's not there. And it was like streamed like 6 or 8 hours ago. And I was heartbroken. I was like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, I was gonna flip back and forth between the Sunday Night Football uh air on NBC from the last football of the preseason. And I was gonna flip back and forth between that and AEW All In. And I by that time I, found out all that, it sucked. It sucked. It kind of hurt. But I hope you guys had a great weekend. Glad you guys are back here safe and ready to listen to me rant about more professional wrestling stuff. All right. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talk about what we have on tap today. We have a lot on tap. We have our WWE Smackdown review. We're going to have our Monday Night Raw preview. And we're also going to have the third segment. We're going to talk about our AEW All In analysis and review. And then we're going to talk about Jey Uso is all elite. Well, maybe. We're going to talk about the recent comments made by Jey Uso's father, Rikishi, on how he's better off in AEW. And we're going to talk about that. And then our fifth and final segment, we're going to talk about AE. Then we're going to talk about Ricochet's. We're going to talk about Ricochet's AEW debut. We're going to talk about what it meant for the world of all elite wrestling. Also, what to expect in the future for King Ricochet. So yeah, but before we get into any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Remember to hit that super chat, whether if you have a burning question in terms of professional wrestling, a hot take, or just something you've been dying to share. Here on the GSMC Sports Network, we are absolutely all ears, 1,010%. Let's keep this show going by keep the conversation going, keep the party going, make it lively, make sure your voice is absolutely 1,010% part of the mix. So don't be shy and drop your comments inside the chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets noticed, why not use that super chat? Just hit that $ below that chat box. Send in your message and it's guaranteed to get featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel. Your super chats will help us keep the lights on and bring you even more awesome wrestling content. We are absolutely 1,010% so grateful for each and every one of you here. Your support means a lot. Makes a lot of difference here at the GSMCpodcast.net. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And so we can make this show bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And once again, with the super chat thing, if it's not your thing, I get it. I understand. But so you could hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Hit up that tips and donations link once again. Shoot in absolute anything you guys have to say in terms of professional wrestling. Absolutely would love to hear you guys' opinions. We got a couple of chats already, starting off. We got from my man Anthony Mazzano, #mob. Is there such a thing as building up a superstar to be too dominant? Because I feel that that's what's happening with Bronson Reed. You know, um, a great example of this, and I agree 1,010%. If you're WWE creative or wrestling in that kind of matter, if you're trying to build up someone to be so strong that they can't be beaten, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because even if you do have that superstar lose, the fans, the WWE universe, the wrestling universe, they're going to know it's like, dude, like honestly, that was scripted, that was choreographed, that was bad. This is something, of course, that I kind of hint on when I was talking about the Fiend and Seth Rollins against each other for the WWE Championship at Hell in a Cell. I think it was 2021, 22. I think it was 2021. And they made the Fiend look so damn strong. And eventually, yeah, he did win that championship. And guess who he lost it to? He lost it to Bill Goldberg. And then at that point, even me as a wrestling fan, I was questioning. I was like, dude, like this is so stupid. This is absolutely 1,010% super stupid. And this is also something I was thinking about in terms of like the White Six making their debut on Monday Night Raw. I was like, if they make them seem to be too dominant, then there's going to be problems. There's going to be problems under the Triple H Paul Levesque era. I feel like he essentially wants to give every superstar in the locker room a chance to kind of just kind of redeem themselves, just a chance to like go out there and win titles. And with one dominant superstar happening, that's not going to happen. Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, you know, but then this could also touch on the argument of are bigger wrestlers like you saw the Fiend, like you saw Braun Strowman, like you saw not like you see Bronson Reed right now, and like kind of like back in the day when you saw the Big Show, and back in the day where you saw Andre the Giant. Like when these guys step into the ring, you're like, holy, like these guys aren't going to be beaten. And it's to the point where like that's why WWE kind of got rid of Keith Lee. That's why they lost Lars Sullivan. They're like, you know what, I'm not too keen on this guy after all, because WWE, although it is about the matches, it's also about storylines. What kind of storyline can I get from this guy? If you have Bronson Reed absolutely kicking ass inside the ring, I believe, maybe it could be, I kind of teased him going to the Judgment Day. Obviously, you saw the Judgment Day stab Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley in the back. You need that kind of that big, bad protection kind of guy. Maybe that's a great way to kind of introduce the stable in terms of Bronson Reed, because as a singles wrestler, he's just too hard to beat. 5 tsunamis, 4 tsunamis. This guy could be, a future WWE champion, which I'm not against. I'm not against anybody on the WWE roster to spread their wings and kind of be bigger, better, and stronger than ever. But I don't know. For this storyline to work with Bronson Reed, I feel like right now Bronson Reed doesn't really have a storyline. He's just some guy that comes in. "Oh, I'm so pissed off. I'm gonna go backstage and ruin everybody. I'm gonna splash R-Truth. I'm gonna kill Seth Rollins. And now what is he gonna do against Braun Strowman? So a lot of the times it's about delicacy. And right now I feel like Anthony Bazzano kind of mentioned, what's going to happen with Bronson Reed. I hope they don't mess it up. I was going to say don't F it up, but PG. I hope they don't mess it up, because Bronson Reed is indeed a young rising superstar, obviously from Australia. A huge wrestling legend from where he's from. So 1,010% hope that they do him right. Monday Night Raw already happened. Why are you saying the preview? To be honest, my man, I'm on the West Coast. I'm already on the West. California knows how to party. I'm just kidding. No, no, but I am from California. From California. A lot of the times, on YouTube, I think Dish doesn't do it. Maybe they do it. Spectrum, I know for a fact. I know Monday Night Raw starts at 8 on I used to have DirecTV, and I used to get Monday Night Raw at 5. And I was like, dude, I'm honestly used to watching Monday Night Raw once when it's dark outside. I'm like, dude, like it's so crazy that it starts at 5. So, obviously everybody on the East Coast already watched it. I have it pre-recorded. I'm about to watch it. I have not checked a single shred of social media, TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, anything like that. So I like to go in a little blind. Obviously, in terms of being a professional wrestling fan, I love it. Another chat we have. You brought up Keith Lee. I think he's a whole nother animal. He doesn't wrestle like the traditional big guy. He's a yes. Oh my God, yes. He's a cruiserweight, kind of like Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe moves like that as well. There's oh God, who's that other guy who used to throw spinning heel kicks? I think Umaga also did that as well. There's a lot of big guys. Like it's nowadays where you kind of have, that mesh, like you kind of see in sports. Like, I know it's kind of weird, but I kind of like to compare it to the NBA where you kind of have that big man. But nowadays, in the contemporary game of the National Basketball Association, your big man like Joel Embiid, like Nikola Jokic, they need to shoot threes. Everybody on the floor needs to shoot threes because of that run that the Golden State Warriors had from the mid 2010s to the late 2010s, where now kind of your idea of basketball and the philosophy that you're trying to run your organization by is because of this, notion that everybody has to shoot threes. It's fast paced. And then with the fouls and the blocking fouls and everything kind of being like, it wasn't like back in my day. Like I remember watching, old Vladdy Divac play, Hakeem Olajuwon. I remember a lot of people. I remember like it was physicality along with you had to have the ultimate package. But I feel like the rules, the NBA, they love high scoring games. Like what you see in the NBA right now, you kind of have 120 to like 130. Like it's too high. But that's just for me. Obviously this is a wrestling podcast, and I'm getting too caught up in the comments. I love you, Anthony Mazzano, my man. I got one last comment before I have to jump into the subject matter. I would be more worried if Vince was running a creative and booking a thing with Bronson Reed. That would be interesting. I know Vince McMahon, he's a very, 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 he's hard headed. He's not willing to kind of go out on his own terms. I just hope he doesn't find his way back to WWE. There, I said it. Got to be honest. I feel like, because they've done this before, where Triple H Paul Levesque took over as creative officer, and then Vince McMahon was all of a sudden, he's like, you know what, and they're like, all right, Vince, obviously seniority plays. It plays 1,010% in any kind of business industry. Look at nepotism. Look at how Bronny James got drafted to the Lakers. It's because LeBron James. He had some pull. He had like a little bit of a pull. He was like, draft my son. I can give you an awesome, television deal. But I really honestly hope Vince McMahon is done with professional wrestling. Like I'm not too crazy to like jump on the bandwagon of what Bret Hart kind of had to say about Vince McMahon, kind of him comparing him to like Epstein and Jeffrey Dahmer. And like it's just like I'm not that, you know, I'm not that I don't know, maybe as a wrestling fan, what Vince did was wrong. Like the allegations, just for it to kind of pop up, it's wrong. I'm not, deeming anybody guilty. I'm not saying, in fact, that what he's going through right now isn't, just, because justice, obviously the truth in every single aspect of life will come out. So, 1,010% with Vince McMahon, like it's, I hope he doesn't make it back to the WWE. Obviously, after selling his TKO shares, the dude has some money. Dude, go ahead and retire. Retire. Spend time with your family. Spend time with your grandchildren. Settle this case out, and after that, do everything you can to kind of redeem yourself as a man. You know what I mean? Like it's a very touchy subject. All right, so we got them talking about the tits and donations. I know that was oh my god, that was like my whole first segment. So let's kind of talk about Monday WWE Smackdown real quick. Got to kind of powerball through this one a little bit. Speaking of Powerball, hope you guys got your lottery tickets out. I'm just kidding. No, we don't promote betting around here, but if we win the lottery, don't forget to send your man the professional wrestling laureate. A couple of shekels. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. No, don't do that. Just kidding. No. First, we have the Grayson Waller effect. We have Cody Rhodes. He was the guest, and from the get-go you had Grayson Waller absolutely disrespect Cody Rhodes. Basically, then you had Cody Rhodes ask, no, I think, yeah, Cody Rhodes, let's talk about my friends. We had Cody Rhodes ask, "What kind of friend are you?" It's basically saying, "Hey, honestly, you've done everything you can to use Austin Theory once again," kind of hinting at the Austin Theory turn, a babyface. But then also they showed a real, sorry, they showed a reel of Kevin Owens turning on, his friends, I was actually surprised I saw Chris Jericho. I was actually very happy to see Chris Jericho. I was like, dude, I think that's kind of cool. Kind of like what you saw on Monday Night Raw when they were trying to, hint at Ricochet coming back by having him inside of a promo with Braun Breaker. And I fell for it too. I fell for it too, 1,010%. I thought Ricochet was going to make his way back to the WWE because they had exclusive, airtime. They had video production of him on in WWE. So I got to be honest, I was very hopeful. But obviously, that's not exactly what happened as you guys watched at AEW All In Wembley Stadium on Sunday. But I don't know, it was a good promo overall. I thought it was pretty great. Next, you saw Kevin Owens come out and kind of set things straight. Be like, you know what? To be honest, guys, I did mess up in the past, but I'm not that guy anymore. And this whole character change in terms of Kevin Owens could be quite of a shock for WWE. Like, I kind of play with it, I kind of play with the idea a little bit, talking on the podcast, what if all of a sudden, you don't have Cody Rhodes trusting Kevin Owens, maybe he finds a way to attack Kevin Owens right after the match or even before the match. He's like, you know what? How do you expect him to act, Kevin? I cannot trust you. And this is something that Kevin Owens can kind of ride into his new contract with WWE because within 4 months his contract is going to be I think it was 4 to 6 months. You have Kevin Owens' contract being expired, so there could possibly, this. I feel like this match between him and Cody Rhodes is going to set him up for his next contract. Either he turns heel and they sign him for a couple more years, or if he doesn't. But something I feel like has got to give in terms of this Kevin Owens kind of booking here. Okay, now we got to really wrap this up. Nick Aldis, I kind of like it how he was like, you know what, Kevin Owens, just kind of make it quick. I love that. I love how Nick Aldis is, first and foremost, and I'm going to keep this very brief, that the general managers on Raw and SmackDown do not include themselves within the wrestling storyline on the show. I feel like that's for the best of WWE because when you blur those lines between management, talent, it's just nasty. It's just bad. Look at what's happening with AEW. I know it's not really Tony Khan, but with the Elite, ever since Matthew and Nicholas Jackson and Okada, Jack Perry, they got together, it's been garbage. It's been garbage. AEW has been kind of relying on outside anomalies to kind of promote the promotion within. But essentially, since you have Matthew and Nicholas Jackson in that position of power as the EVPs, you're the main story. You're the main story, and it's not good. It's not good at all. 1,010%. I believe the younger talent of AEW is growing, and that's great. But then you also have MJF, Will Ospreay, the whole Don Callis thing. You have the AEW Trios Championship, which is really Christian Cage doing his thing. You have a lot of the veterans kind of stepping up. Bryan Danielson recently won the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It's all about patience. And right now, I feel like the only bad thing about AEW, say it again, is this whole thing between the Elite. It's not working. I'm sorry, it's not working. I love the Young Bucks as a tag team. I love them. They were great. They're legends outside the WWE. I remember going up to like a couple of wrestling fans to be like, "Oh, what do you know about the Young Bucks? The Young Bucks this, the Young Bucks that." But nowadays, no one really cares about the Young Bucks. And it's not an indictment on their talent. It's not an indictment on how they can cut promos. I'm not saying they're crappy. I'm just saying I would like them in different bookings. I think right now the storyline it's kind of done. It's kind of dead. So moving on, I feel like it would be great for both Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, Okada, even Jack Perry's kind of hinting at cutting promos away from the Elite, and I like that. Definitely got to respect Jack Perry in that kind of aspect. All right, next you saw the LA Knight defeat Santos Escobar. You saw the Unholy Union teaming up with Blair Davenport to get the win. You also saw the Street Profits lose against the Bloodline. And Solo Sikoa ordered Jacob Fatu to give his title to Tungaloa, which kind of hinted at a Tungaloa. No, Jacob Fatu possible turn on Solo Sikoa and the new Young Bloodline. Definitely love that. 1010%. The LA Knight issues an open challenge next week on SmackDown. Maybe John Cena shows up. He said it. He says his retirement tour is going to start in 2025. So I'm not too hot on it. I'm not getting my hopes up. Pretty awesome, but I did kind of get my hair cut. For John Cena if he's watching. I'm just kidding. No. But we have Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens leaving off the end of the night in the main event against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Kevin Owens at the end teased the turn, which honestly I kind of didn't like. I honestly didn't really like it. I don't we're so used to seeing Kevin Owens in that role. If he's gonna sign a new contract, if it's gonna be something different, then just I don't know. I just feel like there's got to be some different kind of bookings there. All right, next we're going to talk about some WWE Monday Night Raw preview. Obviously, like I mentioned, by my man Anthony Mazzano, #mob, talking about why are we talking about Monday Night Raw when it has already aired. Not on the West Coast. Like, not all of us have that, that luxury of watching Monday Night Raw at 5 o'clock. I used to pay for DirecTV, but it got way, way, way too damn expensive. I'm not hating on DirecTV. Obviously, 1000%, respect that. DirecTV, you got to do it yourself. You got to do whatever you can as a cable company because streaming services right now are absolutely, killing it. So you got to do what you got to do. So let's talk about WWE Monday Night Raw. So hey, honestly, guys, do not go anywhere. If you do, I'm gonna miss you, 1010%. So hey, stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time to 11 p.m. Eastern time. Here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, superstar news updates, injury updates, cross promotional news. We, from AEW to WWE, New Japan Professional Wrestling, here and there, Major League Wrestling, game changing wrestling, Stardom, New Japan Professional. If it makes wrestling headlines, we talk about it here on the GSMC network. So, since we are absolutely rapidly running out of valuable time, we're gonna go ahead and skip along. Obviously, hit up that super chat box, guys. 1010%. We're nothing without you guys. Obviously, I'm nothing without you guys. Obviously, want to keep the wrestling content going on. Make sure you hit up that super chat, the super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. Even if you have a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or if you just got something you want to get off your mind, you'd be like, "Hey, Eric, dude, like you suck." I'd be like, "Hey, man, that's cool. I guess." I'm just kidding. Or if you got anything in terms of professional wrestling, or if it's a sport take, I do watch sports from here, here and there. You know what I mean? Like, baseball's heating up. The NFL is right around the corner. College football week 0 started week 0. I had no idea that was a thing. I got to be honest. I wasn't a huge college football kind of fan until recently. If you want to be intrigued in the sports world, you got to watch. And, 1010%, all you Texas Longhorns fans out there, I'm rooting for you guys. I work at a senior living facility, and one of my residents, um, I'm not going to disclose his name. I almost did. I'm sorry, but he's a Texas Longhorns fan. So I'm like, you know what? From now on, I'm going to cheer for them. So I'm going hard. I'm going all in with the Texas Longhorns, 1,010%. So we're going to talk about that. So hope you guys, in terms of college football, respect that take. If not, then hey, honestly, go for somebody else. But you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. I'm just kidding. No. I don't know. Your voice is always part of the mix, guys. So do not be shy. Obviously, 1,010%. Drop your thoughts inside the chat. If you really want to make sure your comment or question gets read on air, I ask you guys to use that super chat box. Go ahead and hit up that $ below the chat box. And send in a message. 1,010%. It's going to be featured on the show. It's a great way to support our channel. Your super chats help us keep the lights on in terms of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, and also keeps you guys even more awesome professional wrestling content. And we are absolutely 1,010% super grateful for each and every one of you guys here at the GSMC Sports Network. So make sure you guys join us here daily. Your support obviously makes a lot of difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And once again, if the super chat is not your thing, we are still at the GSMCpodcast.net. Hit up that and hit up the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Go ahead and Superman punch that like a subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network, subscribe. Give you guys the Eric Rodriguez guarantee that you will never, ever, ever, ever regret subscribing to the GSMC Sports Network, because it's free sports content. If you're it's not like Fox Sports or ESPN or anything like that. Not that I'm throwing shade at any of those guys. Obviously, I watch shows from there too. But why not subscribe to the GSMC Sports Network? It's absolutely 1,010% free. We do it because we love the audience, we love the fans, but most importantly, we share the same passion that is the world of American amazing. Well, not because we do have soccer and we do have the NBA. International. We're going to say international sports. So make sure you guys tune into the other shows as well. All the other podcasts, all the other sports podcasters here are dynamite, amazing as hell. Check those guys out. And obviously they kill it every single time they jump on the mic. So, yeah. Now we're going to have our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. We're going to keep this brief. Brief because I got loaded with the chats. I got to be honest. My man Anthony Mazzano hitting those hashtags like dang. And I also got another chat from my man Stitch Sanchez. Why are you doing? Well, Stitch, I'm doing. I love professional wrestling, 1,010%. Ever since I got offered this job, I was like, dude, really? I can express myself as a wrestling dork and not be called weird? I'm for it. I'm just kidding. No, probably you guys still think I'm kind of, this is just wrestling fans. I feel like the demographic in terms of wrestling fans, it's kind of, I feel like we're all the same. Does that make sense? And I don't know. Obviously, if you feel the same as a wrestling fan, go ahead and hit up that chat and be like, yo, Eric, we support you, man. We support you. Stitch Sanchez, thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. I guarantee you. Going to keep keep that chat alive. It's awesome. It's great. And now we're going to talk about some WWE Monday Night Raw. So we are live tonight in the Amica Mutual Pavilion in Providence, Rhode Island. Randy Orton will be there on Monday Night Raw. Again, obviously this is the winner go home show in terms of Bash at Berlin. It's going to be live on Sunday. It's going to be live on Sunday. No, Saturday. I think it's on Saturday. Oh, that's right, because TNA Emergence is actually on Friday. No, yeah. It's going to be live on Friday. Make sure you check that out. It's going to be badass. It's going to be super cool. We have Randy Orton kind of coming out, probably going to set up more of a, kind of like a personal take in terms of what Gunther has said about his family, in terms of how Randy Orton's career has been ever since he kind of came out as Evolution. He's the youngest world champion in WWE history. And I have a lot of high hopes for Randy Orton. I hope Randy ultimately does become, a champion two more times. If you look at people in his, kind of like in his prime, in his later ages of his career, that doesn't really apply to Randy Orton. I feel like Randy Orton he can still make a run as a WWE champion, and he'd be just as good as Roman Reigns holding the title. I believe I believe that 1,010%. And that's something that not a lot of wrestlers obviously kind of have in common with Randy Orton. Obviously, like I see John Cena whenever he kind of makes his return to WWE. It's just like it's not really the same. I feel like Randy Orton was kind of part of that later half of the of WWE, the new generation that featured like Batista. It featured talents like when JBL became this awesome stockbroke, kind of guy. And, The Undertaker obviously killing it on Friday Night Smackdown on the Sci-Fi Network. When you saw Batista leave the WWE, maybe he could have been in the same kind of category with Randy Orton, but I know I like Orton. I feel like he can 1,010% win one or two more titles. He still has, a lot of time left. He signed a 5-year a 5-year deal, and he said by the age of 40 he's gonna quit. No, 40, no, 50, no, damn it. I think he said 40. No, anyways, but Randy Orton is still young. He's still killing it, and absolutely 1,010% he could still win a championship. And next we have Braun Strowman going against Bronson Reed. I want to see these guys go at it. I personally, you saw Bronson Reed absolutely destroy everything in his past within the last couple of weeks. The Miz, R-Truth, Seth Rollins, they're pushing Bronson Reed for I have no idea what. Like I kind of messed with and kind of played around the idea a little bit that the Judgment Day will be, the next spot for him. And then the Judgment Day is gonna be like, all right, you can challenge for the like he's gonna be that main honcho kind of guy. And Braun Strowman, ever since he made it back to the WWE roster, he's been lost. He's been lost 1,010%, misbooked. Doesn't look like you brought back Braun Strowman for what? That's the question that WWE, in the minds of the WWE universe. Braun Strowman is back in WWE for what? And maybe there's a promo tonight. Honestly, and I know this obviously Monday Night Raw already aired. I had no idea what actually happened. But if I want to make Braun Strowman, if I signed him to a lucrative contract for him to be with my wrestling promotion, I want to have him relative. I think that, I would book Braun Strowman where he gets his ass kicked by Bronson Reed. And then, at the very end of it, where it looks all hope is lost, you have the Wyatt Six come and protect their guy. You have, Eric Rowan. You have Bo Dallas come out and help Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is then absorbed into the Wyatt Six. And then that's where he kind of, because if you have a faction like that, you can still cut on promos. But since Braun Strowman won't be wrestling that much, he'll still be part of the storyline. And if you sign somebody to the contract, it's just something that you have to do. If you are a WWE creative, if you are part of like a chairman initiative, I feel like 1,010%. If you want things for Braun Strowman to go, kind of freely, kind of go smoothly, you kind of have to make this happen. All right, let's go and do this rapidly. Will the Terra Twins get any help today on Monday Night Raw? Obviously, they're outnumbered. I feel like Jey and Sami Zayn will make the rescue. Uncle Howdy is going to face Chad Gable. For the first time, you're going to see Uncle Howdy you're going to see him in ring competition. We're going to see a triple threat match, The Miz, Xavier Woods against Pete Dunne. Kofi Kingston takes on Karrion Kross against Jey Uso, which I feel like Jey Uso will lose this match because of a Judgment Day interference, because of the way Jey Uso is going to help the Terra Twins earlier with Sami Zayn. And for the Intercontinental Championship match, I want to see Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, maybe, triple threat match going against Braun Breaker. So I feel like that. All in all, I feel like that's going to be, I don't know. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. All right, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about our AEW All In review, happened on Sunday, and analysis. We're going to talk about all the matches that happened and what to expect. So, hey, 1,010% love you guys, and hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. And welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring. So, let's go ahead and talk about it. So, we have our AEW All In review and analysis to kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had a WWE Smackdown review. We had our Monday Night Raw preview. Excuse me. And we're going to talk about our AEW All In review and analysis. So let's go ahead and dig on into that. But before we get on into any of that, we absolutely love hearing from you guys 1,010%. So whether if you have a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, obviously tell me what you guys feel. Tell me how you feel. We are all ears here at the GSMC Sports Network. We are dying to absolutely find out. Keeping you guys part of the mix. Your voice is 1,010% the show. 1,010% the show. I want to encourage you guys to continue to comment, continue to absolutely, give your hot takes in terms of and professional wrestling. And if you really want to make sure your question or comment gets noticed, why not use that super chat? Go ahead and hit that $ below that super chat box and go ahead and send in a message, and it's guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to kind of support our channel. Your super chats help us keep the lights on and bring you even more awesome wrestling content. So honestly, 1,010%, we are so grateful for each and every one of you here at the GSMC Sports Network who join us here daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this show is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. So And the super chat is not your thing, guys. We are still at the GSMC podcast.net. Go ahead and send in your opinions, send in your your hot takes. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. We'll talk about it here on the podcast. So let's go ahead and move on to our next segment. We're going to talk about some AEW All In, and it was great. Something about AEW that I always respect is they have such great pay-per-views. Amazing pay-per-views. Honestly, kind of better than WWE. Because a lot of times you kind of have WWE banking on that confidence that we're the only big wrestling promotion that a lot of people pay attention to. So we can give 5 or 6 matches and be like, hey, dude, we're done. But AEW All In featured like 8 or 10 matches. It was absolutely awesome. It was absolutely elite. All elite is probably the right answer, kind of for that. I got a chat from my man Logan James K. WWE great answering on AEW's All In last night. 1,010%. I do love WWE. A lot of people are actually afraid to kind of dip their foot into AEW. People say it sucks. People think that it doesn't really live up to the hype. And if you pay attention to what's really happening with WWE right now, especially WWE Raw, besides Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. I feel like if they were trying to promote Jey Uso, they would have done it like a little, earlier. Maybe would have gave him the Money in the Bank briefcase. But right now, like, it's not really a competition. And obviously, AEW might have a leg up on WWE, because the talents aren't split, there's no Raw or SmackDown. There's no, superstars going to this brand and the other brand. They fight on Dynamite, they fight on Collision, Rampage, and their pay-per-views. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to compare the two once when it's totally different agendas, curriculums, and stuff like that. So but I do love how AEW handles their pay-per-views. Ever since I started becoming an AEW fan. All right, so first we're going to start off with Christian Cage teaming up with Nick Wayne and Killswitch the Patriarchy, taking on Juice Robinson, the Guns, versus House of Black, Malachi Black, also Brody King, and Buddy Matthews against the Blackpool Combat Club, the newly acquired member Pack, teaming up with Kasanogi, also Wheeler Yuta, in a four-way ladder match for the AEW Trios Championship. Absolutely a great way to start off the night. This match was full of a lot of twists and turns, a lot of, future bookings, a lot of future bookings that you can do with this team, superstars, going against each other. And, Wheeler Yuta, in terms of Ring of Honor, he lost his championship. He lost his championship. He was doing super, super well. Obviously, didn't do well enough to keep it. But, having a title on you, same with the Bastard Pack. I feel like the Bastard Pack has done really, really well. Kind of left in the mist. He actually does have the next title shot at the AEW International Championship against Will Ospreay. So we're gonna kind of back forth into that if you are an AEW fan. But right now, ultimately, I feel like this was the best move for Tony Khan. Bryan Danielson is your new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Wheeler Yuta, Pack, and also not Tomohiro Ishii. Claudio Castagnoli are the Trios champion. They have gold. They have gold. This could possibly be a way for them to challenge the Elite next pay-per-view at All Out. But I don't know. It should be pretty interesting to kind of find out what they do moving forward. Timeless Toni Storm loses her AEW Women's World Championship to Mariah May. And I knew this was going to happen. Timeless Toni Storm has been, she's represented the championship in terms very, very well, very, very well. And you kind of create this, this big badass rivalry between the glamour Mariah May and also the Timeless Toni Storm, former proteges going at each other. And like what you see with the professional wrestling when best friends kind of go at it, you saw it with Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, you saw it with the Barbershop Quartet, with Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. And it's a perfect storyline. And I feel like the women's division hasn't really done it really well until this happened tonight. I feel like this is the best women's rivalry that we've seen in professional wrestling in a long time, to be honest. Obviously there was Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair. And then there was, earlier in the years, there was Lita against Trish Stratus. I think 1,010% we're going to see these two go at it, from years and years and years, because both of them are young. Both of them are very, very young. And if you think about, WWE NXT, you don't really have that. WWE Monday Night Raw, I can't really think of anything. SmackDown, no. But then once again, I kind of mentioned the Raw and SmackDown, how they split. So you can't really blame the women in terms of that. But I don't know. I feel like it could be better. I feel like on WWE, WWE NXT is kind of close to AEW in terms of the women's division being successful. But I don't know. I just want to see more between Raw and SmackDown. But SmackDown could do this. SmackDown could 1,010% on Saturday have Jade Cargill turn on Bianca Belair or vice versa, and then kind of have them having toward a match towards Survivor Series and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just feel like it'd be pretty badass. I feel like it'd be pretty great. Next, we saw Hook make history, becoming the 3-time FTW World Champion. Not really much to say about this match, but Hook, I knew he was going to win. You kind of have to have a champion like that. It's going to be interesting to see how Jericho feels and how he decides to kind of move forward, trying to regain that FTW AEW championship moving forward. The Young Bucks retained their tag team championships against FTR and the Acclaimed in a 3-way match. We also saw the Casino Gauntlet match. The winner receives a chance at the AEW World Championship. Obviously, entrant number one, you saw Orange Cassidy, Kazuchika Okada, and then they had that brief little reunion. But then, of course, Okada, the heel he is right now, kills it. Then you had Nigel freaking McGuinness come in. You also saw Kyle O'Reilly make a surprise. You also saw Zack Sabre Jr., Roderick Strong. Then you saw, Mark Briscoe joins the match. Hangman Adam Page, Jeff Jarrett. This match was crazy. And then all of a sudden, you have Ricochet. Ricochet makes his debut into AEW tonight not tonight, but on AEW All In, and it was great. It was great. It was great. It was great. It's good for Ricochet. Next, we have MJF losing to Will Ospreay. I feel like Will Ospreay was going to be the next international champion, 1,010%. Mercedes Moné successfully defends her AEW CBS championship against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. That match actually wasn't as crazy as I thought it was going to be, but it was decent. Jack Perry defeats Darby Allin in a coffin match for the AEW TNT Championship. Then, of course, you saw the Icon Sting. Tony Schiavone had his signature. And it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Swerve Strickland against Bryan Danielson, AEW World Title for Bryan Danielson's career. Not much I could say, but Bryan Danielson killed it. He does have to have neck surgery at the end of the year, so it's going to be interesting who they decide to kind of who he drops the belt to in the future. 1,010%. I love Swerve. I thought overall he was an amazing AEW World Champion. But I feel like, kind of like what I mentioned in previous podcasts, that this is going to be a great way to kind of have this Hangman Adam Page fighting Swerve Strickland without that stipulation of, okay, who's going to represent the brand of AEW? Who's going to be the champion? Who's going to, represent the brand? Like, you don't really have to worry about that anymore. Like, you have Bryan Danielson kind of doing his thing, kind of winning and shit like that, stuff like that. Sorry. So 1,010%, it's going to be awesome to see this. How they develop this, Hangman Adam Page taking on Swerve Strickland, who decides to finally dethrone Bryan Danielson. I think he relinquishes the title. I got to be honest. I think he does. When somebody relinquishes the title, they have an awesome tournament, and it's just awesome. Just awesome. Well, all right, so we got done with our AEW Dynamite review and analysis, and now we're going to talk about, will Jey Uso sign with AEW recently? His dad, Rikishi, said on his Off the Top podcast, saying that 1,010% Jey Uso is, WWE's making money off his son. They've done, pretty crappy in terms of booking him into, any sort of, future plans in terms of WWE. And he says, honestly, if AEW can pick him up, he's a hot steal. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of Rikishi's comments moving forward. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. And we're back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. So just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We talked about our WWE Smackdown review. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. Then we had our AEW All In review and analysis. And now we're going to talk about Jey Uso possibly going to All Elite Wrestling. A lot of people are saying it's good. It's good for him. I honestly, in my opinion, how WWE has kind of handled his bookings lately, I got to agree with his father. Obviously, if you're a father or mother, you want what is best for your child. You want the most of, his talent. You want to see him get noticed. you also want to see him get the biggest payout. And, All Elite is that close. I feel like All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan and his promotion are literally two more big star signings away from becoming an absolute wrestling juggernaut that could possibly bounce out the WWE. And I'm not trying to trying to gas it up, obviously, because I'm still high because of the AEW All In. I'm still wrestling high. Don't think like that, guys. Don't think like. I'm just kidding. No. But I'm still on that professional wrestling high after watching highlights of AEW Dynamite, and it was a great pay per view. It was a great pay per view, 1,010%. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the subject matter. All right, so we're going to talk about AEW. Definitely kind of moving positive within of course moving forward. Of course, moving forward 1,010%. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Don't want to see that. Bada boom. Realest guy in the room. How you do it? All right, so we're going to talk about obviously the success of AEW All In has been amazing. Obviously, Ricochet's debut. You've had great matches that were absolutely like off the charts stellar. You saw a lot of shocking returns, Sting and also Nigel McGuinness. But is AEW, are they willing to move toward bigger stars? I believe 1,010%, they could be, they need to fix the audience ratings. With this new deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, obviously kind of buttering up the executives that you have to kind of sell your company to, which Tony Khan is doing, and he's being very, very delicate, very, very, he has perseverance because he doesn't want basically, like I know there's that feeling of kind of being sold out, but if I had a wrestling promotion, I'd be like, look, like, am I getting the best out of my wrestlers? HBO Max or what they call it Max right now. Like, yeah, we could do whatever whatever, but at the back, this is Tony Khan's baby. This is his wrestling promotion here. He sold a neck injury at the at the NFL draft when the Jaguars were choosing. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. Now obviously with the debut of Ricochet means that if it hasn't already been proven before with Mercedes Moné, with Will Ospreay, also you saw Kazuchika Okada from New Japan Professional Wrestling get signed. It's AEW is willing to kind of take the next step into becoming something great. And honestly, I don't think they're too far off. Another big star that they could possibly sign is you have Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, although he's kind of taking time away, and he's kind of made sure on Instagram and social media that he's doing everything he can to kind of train for this new, boxing career, which I feel like Bobby Lashley could do a great job. But, he tried MMA once, didn't really work out. So, maybe if not his professional wrestling thing, Tony Khan is very flexible in terms of the schedules of his superstars. Obviously, like you have Dynamite, you have AEW Rampage, AEW Collision, and sometimes you have After Dark. A lot of times, with having those shows kind of circulated around in terms of being live shows. Like it's different from WWE because WWE only has Monday Night Raw and WWE Friday Night Smackdown. But then you have dark shows like 3 times or maybe 2 or 3 times, but it's not televised. And that's important. And that's important because at the time, like people who star, in WWE who shine during dark events, like you saw with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler said he was like the king of WWE Dark, and then WWE basically bailed on him. They're like, dude, all right, yeah, good job, Dolph. We're gonna use you for the success that you have in WWE Dark matches, and then or live events, and then all of a sudden, you make it to the main roster on SmackDown or Raw, and then you're just trash again, and that's something that infuriated Nick Nemeth of TNA. And he was like, you know what? I'm not really hot on this. Sometimes you even see still to this day that on WWE live events, you see people winning the championship and it doesn't count. It doesn't count. It doesn't count for like, all right, oh, good, you won. And this is something that, back in the day where you saw Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Midnight Rockers, do when they won the tag team championships. And then Vince McMahon was like, all right, that was cool, but guess what? You didn't win. And I was like, dude, are you serious right now? That's crazy. But obviously AEW wants to promote more of their talent more than WWE. WWE wants they're at that tier. They're at that tier. We're like, all right, we have main carders, mid carders. We have the women. I feel like they have the women's division. They don't have a cruiserweight championship or a light heavyweight championship, so they're not really keen on trying to promote those the other younger superstars. They're like, hey, let's just send it to NXT, which is good for them. NXT, I've always kind of fought back in terms of professional wrestling. I don't feel like going to NXT is like a step down. A lot of people be like, NXT is kind of like being in college, and then the majors or the NFL is like being on Raw or SmackDown. But yeah, you just don't, I don't know, you just don't really see that work. And I know WWE wants NXT to kind of stand on their own. Well, they kind of have to. Ever since they kind of proclaim themselves as their own entity, they have to start selling out, arenas, they have to start selling out stadiums. And I don't think they're ready for that yet. Hitting smaller venues, I feel like that's why they kind of touched on a collaboration with Total Nonstop Action Impact Wrestling, which is good, honestly, from a business sense. I get it. And if I was, Triple H Levesque or Shawn Michaels, I was like, you know what, why not have this beneficial for both of us? Like you see Joe Henry right now, like you saw Jordan Grace in NXT. Also, you saw Tatum Paxley on Impact Wrestling. Also, Charlie Dempsey, the NXT Heritage Cup champion, lose the match against Jonathan Grisham, which was a great match. I thought it was actually pretty awesome. But overall, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. I think signing somebody like Bobby Lashley will send AEW into the next level. Next, we have Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' contract is still unsure in terms of WWE. Obviously, a lot of fans will love to see Kevin Owens fight. You have this, former WWE Universal Champion who lost it to Goldberg. He was basically a joke champion, and I'm not trying to throw shade at it. I'm not trying to be like WWE. I'm not trying to, start any fires, arguments, or bad juju or anything like that. But overall, I feel like Kevin Owens, he hasn't really got much of respect that he deserves from WWE. What if he finds his way to AEW? If he makes his way to AEW 1,010%, he can make a mark. He can make a mark. He can challenge Kazuchika Okada for that Continental Championship. He can face Will Ospreay one-on-one for the International Championship. And I would absolutely 1,010% love to see a promo between Kevin Owens, one of the smoothest talkers in terms on the mic in WWE, going against like somebody like MJF. Oh my God. That would be so crazy to see them talk mess to each other back and forth. I feel like that'd be great. I feel like that'd be great 1,010%. Next, we have Jey Uso. Jey Uso could possibly be AEW bound by the end of this year. And you can't really blame it. You can't really blame him. He'll be hot. He'll be hot. AEW fans will be yeeting by the end of this year. Obviously, it's a huge hot take, but if Jey Uso goes to AEW, he will start essentially his own Samoan dynasty. Obviously, you do have, Samoan wrestlers like, Toa Lunga, also, Toa Leona of Ring of Honor. Also, you have Samoa Joe, but there's no Anoa'i, there's no Maivia, also no Fatu. So, with the success of WWE, they have those families. And maybe, Jey Uso could start his own, like, little Samoan dynasty here. Maybe his brother debuts as well. Maybe, you see Naomi come along. And it's just to get that first step in the door. He would essentially kind of be that high chief. Peter Maivia, maybe they kind of have their own like little bloodline storyline on AEW, which would be funny. And I don't think it's anywhere damn near as possible because I do feel like WWE does have plans for Jey Uso, although it's taken a little while. I absolutely hated the fact that Drew McIntyre won the briefcase for the Money in the Bank. I feel like it should have been given to Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, or like the man we see in front of us, Jey Uso. So 1,010%, I think there could be just something bigger, something better. But it's different. I support Jey Uso. I feel like ever since he left the bloodline, he's been a hot take. You look on what they have on Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins is injured. CM Punk is too crazy, and Drew McIntyre. What other main event superstars do you see on Monday Night Raw other than Jey Uso? Yeah, okay, there's Finn Balor. Braun Strowman, Bronson Reed. Yeah, let's be realistic, but bigger WWE superstars never really make it up to that main card. So I'm not really taking them seriously. Maybe you can have Uncle Howdy kind of make a crack at it. Maybe Chad Gable. They recently said in Monday Night Raw about they stated the Intercontinental Championship qualifier. He's in that qualifying match. I doubt he wins. I feel like overall they're saving him for a run with Sami Zayn, taking on the Judgment Day, moving forward toward that Survivor Series after Bash at Berlin. They're going to need that pay-per-view. So it's going to be a pay-per-view worth waiting for. So, and I've been flipping back and forth with this Jey Uso, kind of contact, it's kind of stuff with, I don't know. But this would be a huge signing. This would be an absolutely huge signing that Jey Uso should probably consider. Rikishi, his father, said off the Top Rope podcast about, his son's bad booking in WWE. He said, and I quote, once the Money in the Bank thing didn't go through, I kind of thought, let's see what they do now. Maybe they'll give him a title shot. He told his son already that, to talk about, just go and take a break, son, take a break. The writers, obviously, in WWE do not know what they are doing. A bunch are obviously yeeting. You have a bunch of, yeet Jey Uso merchandise being sold. So WWE is making making a lot of money off Jey Uso, but not really reciprocating, exactly what it takes, kind of moving forward and making them into like a, kind of like a main star. So, Rikishi also said, and I quote, the kid is so good. WWE ain't the only spot. He could probably go to AEW. And if he wants to ride his own ticket, kind of like what I mentioned with him starting his own Samoan dynasty on All Elite Wrestling. If you have your dad obviously looking at all the BS that WWE creative has kind of put you through, he's, you're going to see him from, all the time. He's your father. And he's going to be talking in your ear, talking about, hey, like, why not start your own thing in AEW, son? Like you would, if Jey Uso went to AEW, he would automatically become like a main event right off the bat. Bam. I could see him against MJF. That'd be pretty awesome. Will Ospreay. I could see him against Bryan Danielson. People like Swerve Strickland, and he'd be great. He'd be great. And although Jey has been a main character on the Raw roster, he's been a forethought, not having matches at such like SummerSlam. Mercedes Moné, after walking from WWE, says that working with WWE and AEW is like night and day, and it's not an easy decision. Obviously, it's obviously a lot of things to kind of take in consideration. But Jey Uso, if he wants to kind of start his own thing, he could very much damn near find himself with All Elite Wrestling by the end. Well, not the end, by the beginning of 2026. Maybe the late 2025, maybe he finds a way to sign, and Tony Khan will pay for that. He'll pay for a huge contract with Jey Uso. So it's legitimate, guys. This is considered legitimate. All right, our fifth and final segment of the night, we're going to talk about Ricochet's debut in AEW and his future. Remember that we do have my man Emran's GSMC Soccer podcast starting in about 18 minutes. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's kill it. But most importantly, stay tuned. Grab your favorite beverage, grab your favorite snack, and join me in about like 25 seconds. All right. We're back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling on the GSMC Sports Network. So make sure you tune into that. We talk about news from WWE, the AEW, the New Japan Professional Wrestling, to the MLW, the NWA, the GCW. Basically everything in terms of wrestling. If it makes it to the main news headlines, we talk about it here. It's awesome. It's sick. We encourage you to hit us up in the chat. We listen to you guys 1010%. This show, this podcast, this network is absolutely nothing without our beautiful, amazing fans. So make sure you go ahead and hit up that chat. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And let's just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Friday Night Smackdown review. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. We talked about AEW All In, being with our analysis, future storylines, future bookings in terms of the winners, the losers, and everything so forth. Then we talked about Jey Uso considering being signed to AEW. So, that is very much concerned. If WWE, like Rikishi, his father said, WWE needs to get it together. And that's something that I've been kind of talking about on my podcast for quite some time. WWE hasn't really been doing much with Jey Uso. With the whole Money in the Bank thing kind of going under, with the, Jey Uso also, losing the match within itself, also not being featured on SummerSlam. I don't think he's had a match on Raw. I think he had one last week. Don't quote me on that. But the 2 weeks prior to that, I don't think he had a match. But obviously WWE, if you want to keep your Yeet Man, you have to do what you got to do. Book him, pay him. Other than that, with Ricochet going, with big names like Becky Lynch on the table, still you can sign. If AEW signs another big star like Jey Uso, WWE's in trouble. WWE could highly be in trouble in terms of the ratings. Obviously, on Monday Night Raw, I don't really see anybody bigger than CM Punk. On Friday Night SmackDown, I don't really see anybody bigger than Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. Did I say Cody Rhodes? I think I already said Cody Rhodes. See, that's how repetitive it is. Like it's crazy. But I don't know. I feel like AEW, they sign like a big name star like Jey Uso. The sky could be the limit. He can get big top dollar. But I don't know. It's just, it would be kind of interesting to find out what happens moving forward. All right, so we're going to talk about not our Wednesday weekly wrestling news. I don't know why that's there. We're going to talk about Ricochet making his debut into AEW's All In and his future with AEW. All right, so Ricochet is he is indeed all elite. His friend Will Ospreay is absolutely excited about the future. Obviously, they've had a bunch of great matches, rated 5 stars by Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. So we're gonna get that essentially in AEW Dynamite. And I feel like there's a lot of matches. I feel like in terms of WWE, a lot of matches are probably too short, but although they are kind of long, but not like long. AEW kind of knows how to stroke that ego in terms of professional wrestling. The fans, when they're like, you know what, there's a match that's too long, there's a match that's too short. And, they have a lot of matches that last longer than like 10, 15 minutes, and the audience is engaged. It's crazy. But, it's great. It's great. Maybe like WWE might have a way to kind of, do over with the promotions. But in terms of the wrestling matches, I haven't really seen a really great wrestling match, to be honest. So, Carmelo Hayes and Andrade right now, pretty good. What you're seeing right now with what I saw with the LA Knight and Santos Escobar, I thought that was pretty badass. But besides that, Sami Zayn against Braun Breaker. Besides that, there hasn't really been any crazy, like, out of this world, like, oh, let's go ahead and notice these guys for having an amazing match. I feel like the Street Profits taking on the Bloodline for the WWE Tag Team Championships last Friday. I was a good match. I was excited. But tag team matches, you have 2 superstars. But a one-on-one bout, Ricochet, Will Ospreay, Ricochet against, MJF, against Daniel Garcia, against Bryan Danielson. the sky's the limit with this guy you have here, Ricochet. And, WWE dropped the ball. I'm going to be the first to say it. WWE will regret the day they lost Ricochet. Should have signed him, should have made him happy. They should have never, messed up his booking, should have never sold him short. They deflated him, they watered him down. He wasn't the same superstar when he came to WWE. I don't know. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Will Ospreay had this to say, and he said, and I quote, "I'm excited. I'm really happy for him. Making it to the AEW roster. Obviously, he kind of has to start from the bottom, but Ricochet, he's going to do that really well. He made his debut at AEW All In on Sunday, competing in the All In Casino Battle Royal. Fans went absolutely nuts. You can check it out on social media. I'm sure if you follow AEW, WWE, Ricochet on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, you've seen these reels. You've seen these amazing reels that had Ricochet debuting. It's crazy. It was awesome. And he made quite an entrance. Ricochet he's better off in AEW. I got to be honest. He's way better off, has way better, opportunities as opposed to WWE. Don Callis announced a match between Ricochet and Kyle Fletcher. His first ever match taking place on AEW Dynamite this Wednesday. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Ricochet states that more people watch WWE speed matches more than Kyle Fletcher matches. Ouch. That's an ouch toward Kyle Fletcher, but that's also an ouch toward WWE speed. Is that a personal jab at WWE speed by Ricochet? Ricochet maybe might be a little too, maybe a little salty toward me, like, you know what, WWE, you don't want me to perform in 3 minutes? That's messed up. That's messed up. And then Ricochet be like, you know what? Go and look at what WWE speed now. Look at what WWE speed created. Look at all the negative publicity it's been getting within the past couple of months. And Kyle Fletcher is less than that. Like, he's like essentially comparing, Kyle Fletcher to something less than speed, showing that Ricochet has no confidence, has no support in the WWE product speed, which I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only one who I don't really like WWE speak. I think it's kind of a lost cause. I think you're not really promoting the superstars you want to promote. Three minutes is too less. Uh, you not really storylines, and that's exactly what WWE professional wrestling fans are mostly intrigued on. Is what the storylines ultimately kind of run into. You had a match between Dragon Lee and Ricochet, who started the dawning of the era of WWE speed, and you lost Ricochet. So then you had Dragon Lee, and the match, was so fast paced. It was great. The inaugural match was absolutely amazing, but it's not going to always be like that. Now WWE speed, you kind of have Bronson Reed in there. So now, who has who has the faster squash match? And me as a wrestling fan, I don't want to see that. I want to see these guys. I essentially kind of think that WWE speed compensated for WWE 205 Live. I want to see a match that I would see between Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. I want to see a match that I would see between Mustafa Ali and somebody like Ricochet. And I feel like WWE heavily dropped the ball. Speed absolutely dropped the ball, not signing Ricochet once again. But people believe that although Ricochet is absolutely going to be more utilized and appreciated in AEW, they believe that Ricochet's failing in WWE reflects on him. They said that he couldn't cut a promo to save his life. I think he did cut pretty good promos, but there's only a big enough promo that you can cut if you're trying to appeal to somebody like, WWE Speed. They were trying to call out Tommaso Ciampa, and WWE was like, look, we don't have as much airtime for you like we do, like Sami Zayn calling out Braun Breaker, or like you have in AEW Swerve Strickland talking about, Bryan Danielson. And, it's not the same TV time. And, and that's just business. Like, hey, what gets the most ratings? And I feel like in terms of, Ricochet, they dropped the ball. Oh my God, they heavily dropped the ball. It's kind of crazy. But WWE will hurt because of this whole speed thing, what I was talking about. I feel like they essentially created speed for Ricochet to be the champion. That's just me. But, I don't know. Without Ricochet, WWE speed's not going to work. I'm sorry. I give it about to the end of the year. where they announced like WWE Speed will no longer be hosted on the Twitter/X of the WWE. Instead, we're gonna have them, fight on matches on Raw, which is exactly what 205 Live was, which is exactly what they should have done in the first place. It just kind of sucks that they had to learn their lesson after they lost the top talent like Ricochet, and it's kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. Oh man, but we have a lot in store of Ricochet's future in All Elite Wrestling. Maybe perhaps a feud with Kazuchika Okada, the Elite. What will a lot of these superstars that Ricochet actually has a lot of chemistry with. It's not like these are new guys. It's not like these guys are new, coworkers essentially. This guy who's seen these people before in the independent wrestling circuit, New Japan Professional Wrestling, and Ring of like these. Ricochet has been everywhere within the WWE. A lot of people kind of don't realize how international Ricochet was before he signed with the mainstream WWE. And it's just kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. And lastly, what's going to happen with Samantha Irving? A lot of people think that she might jump ship to AEW, but I read reports that she is signed on with WWE. But Lord only knows how long that's going to take, especially with the money Ricochet is going to be making with AEW as opposed to WWE. It's probably night and day. It's night and day. It's a multi-year deal. And Samantha Irving, I don't know if her and Ricochet decide, to part ways. In that case, Samantha Irving, my number is 996. I'm just kidding. No, no, just kidding. Don't want any of that Prince Puma action. He kicked my ass. But I think Samantha Irving's going to stay with WWE for the most part. But if she goes to AEW, that's huge. It's crazy how an announcer in terms of professional wrestling kind of made her own kind of public relations, kind of community relations adjacent, reach out, kind of group and stuff like that. And that's what I was, I had a segment about Samantha Irving, sending obviously all those pictures and stuff like that. Obviously, kind of, being with her audience and kind of giving them, basically like, sneak peeks or whatever. You essentially, she hit 1 million viewers on social media. There's a point where you have to look out for yourself. And Ricochet, he was done dirty by WWE. He wanted to make WWE work. And it's just like he told his fiance, he was like, "Hey, honestly, I'm leaving. So make the best of what you can." And now she has a bunch of subscribers, she has a bunch of fans, and not taking anything away from Samantha Irving, because I feel like 1,010%. She is a very, very talented as a ring announcer. And if she made her debut in AEW, it would be all over the market. It'd be so crazy, so cool. But I don't know. So far, there's nothing in terms of Samantha Irving following her man Ricochet. But honestly, anything's possible. Anything's possible. All right, guys. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Sorry. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow the show, follow the network for more awesome wrestling content. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, and TikTok for more wrestling content, sports content, and whatnot. And like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we have a whole bunch of other sports podcasters that are killing it. My man Chris Shepard had his first ever live aired show at 12 p.m. Pacific time. 3:30 Eastern time. So make sure you check out that if you are keen in terms of fantasy sports. We have my man Kenneth with the GSMC Football Podcast, Manny with the GSMC Chip Shop Football Podcast. We have my man Manny. We have TJ and Jeremy in terms of sports. And we also have my man Amarin Soccer Podcast started in 3 minutes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We have my boy Tommy with the GSMC College Football Podcast. Make sure you tune in to that as well. My man Nelson with the GSMC Podcast Basketball. It's awesome. It's awesome. All these guys share a heavy passion toward any kind of sport they're talking about. Tune into any of these shows, and I guarantee you, give you guys the Eric Rodriguez guarantee that you guys will be hooked within the first 3 seconds. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and we listen to our chats. We're not like other podcasts, live stream shows where all we care about is essentially what's gonna the money is. We care about your guys' chat. That's all we care about. That's all we care about. Finally, kind of like something that I wanted to talk about, but obviously Monday is our Memorial Monday. Just want to send my thoughts and prayers to Psycho Sid Vicious's family. Obviously, he passed away today at the age of 63. He played a really big role in terms of professional wrestling, especially me growing up with the whole Shawn Michaels becoming the sexy boy, kind of becoming the baby face in terms of professional wrestling. So I'm in WCW. He's been kind of speculated with WWE Hall of Fame within the past, couple of, I don't know. I feel like he should have been within the WWE, Hall of Fame. But obviously, Psycho Sid Vicious today passes away at the young age of 63. Thoughts and prayers go to Sid, UD's family, and hope you guys, just the audience too, love each other, hold each other dear. You don't know when the last time your last day here on Earth is going to be. So make sure you cherish every moment. Make sure you forgive any burdens. Make sure forgive and forget. Make sure you keep those bridges, keep those ties, friends, family, 1000%. I was a huge Sid Vicious fan growing up. Not talking about the punk rocker, but not that I'm saying that Sid Vicious, the punk rocker, wasn't bad as well. He passed away at 21, which is kind of sad. But 1010%. Thoughts and prayers are with the Sid Vicious family, WWE wrestling fans. They love, respect the legacy that he left inside the ring. He was big. He was bad. He was crazy. But gotta send some love. Gotta send some love. So of course I had a hit on that. Once again, love you guys. 1010%. Stay beautiful. Tune in tomorrow at the same time. On Tuesday, we have our Tuesdays today in wrestling history. But until now, what I always say, love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit and the coffee ain't hit.